What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well today. And I know I had plans today to talk a little bit more about some draft prospects, and believe me, those videos are still coming. But we've had a couple of things happen today that pertain pretty strongly to not just the Seattle Seahawks, but Seattle sports in general. So we're going to be a little bit distracted today. We're going to take a little bit of a detour, and we'll probably get back to draft stuff tomorrow. But I do want to talk about this because this is surprising to me, and this is also fairly significant. So, Adam Schefter sent this tweet out earlier this morning, and it basically makes official what had been alluded to for the last couple of months here. So, one thing that I said during the NFL season last year, repeatedly, was that I didn't think the tush push or the brotherly shove or the, well, whatever you want to call it, um, I didn't think that that particular play would be surviving the off season. And what I meant by that is I felt like the NFL and the teams were going to vote to make it illegal because it did used to be illegal at one point. I remember in college football, it was illegal as well. And I felt like, in light of what happened last season, with the tush push being not very well officiated, with the tush push starting to raise questions as to whether or not it was safe, with all the things going on with the tush push, I felt like the league was going to take it away because remember, last offseason there was a vote on whether or not to make the tush push illegal, and it fell 2 votes shy of passing. So I felt like, okay, now we're having this season where it's a problem. Number one, it's really hard to officiate properly. There was a lot of discussion during the season about how it's really hard to ever throw a false start flag on the tush push, and referees seem to just kind of be letting it slide and just kind of letting it happen. And you can get away with starting early as a interior offensive lineman on the tush push. And then you also had the fact that it was just kind of boring and not fun. Like there was a sequence last year, I think, where the Eagles ran the tush push on, I want to say, 3 or 4 consecutive plays, and I don't think people want to see that. That's not fun. That's not entertaining. That's like, at the end of the day, this is an entertainment product. So I thought the tush push was going to be made illegal this offseason. Well, per Adam Schefter earlier this morning, we now officially know that there will be no discussion about the tush push at next week's NFL owners meeting, which means the play will be legal in 2026. At this point, we know it for sure. And I find this to be very significant because the tush push, not only is it a significant play across the league, it is a very significant play for the Seahawks because they have become one of the teams that actually utilized it last year. They utilized it very well. In fact, I believe the only time they used it and it didn't work was a play where they tried to fake it and had Barner go to the outside instead of just going forward. Other than that, I believe every time they actually ran the play straight up, they either got the first down, the touchdown, or got a penalty on the defense. Maybe one time there was a penalty on the offense, but the Seahawks ran the play as successfully as any other team last year, and that includes the Eagles. And they got a good amount of benefit out of it as well. In fact, a lot of people, myself included, believe they should have been running it more because they were so good at it. The barnyard is their variation of it, of course. But this is very interesting, and this is also valuable too, because not every team in the league benefits from this play being allowed. There are teams that would much prefer it to be gone. And as an objective football observer, I'd probably prefer for it to be gone as well. But as a Seahawks fan, I think this benefits the Seahawks as much as it does any other team in the league. And maybe more. I don't know. It depends on how much they're willing to run it. Obviously, they don't run it as much as Philly. I understand why. It's a little bit atypical to put a tight end under center, but they are going to be running it at a higher rate than most other teams because they've proven that it's very successful for them. So the tush push is back for 2026. And as far as I'm concerned, as a Seahawks fan, it's great news. It'll make our short yardage situation a little bit better, and it should give us a money in the bank play on those short yardage opportunities. And in a year where we're going to be a little bit hard pressed to produce a good running game, that could be important. So definitely good news there. Now there are going to be some things discussed at the at the owners meeting, which is I'm sorry, what was it? Yeah, next week. And it is interesting the things they picked, but the tush push is not one of them. And one thing I should say is I'm kind of surprised because there was a concerted effort to ban it last year, and I believe in previous years, and it almost passed last season. So I don't know why things have gotten apparently better there. But regardless, I think that as a Seahawks fan, we can celebrate that and say we at least have it for one more year. I thought the tush push we ran against the Niners in the divisional round might be the last one that ever gets run. Not the case. But the rule proposals submitted next week, kind of interesting here, permit the kicking team to declare an onside kick at any time during the game. I kind of prefer that. At the same time, I don't know why the league would reverse this when they just reversed it the other way a couple of years ago. So I look at this and I kind of go, it's basically just saying undo what you did last year. That would be kind of weird. Eliminate the kicking team's incentive to intentionally kick the ball out of bounds when kicking off from the 50. That's a no-brainer. I'm sure they're going to do something about that. That was kind of a loophole that teams were exploiting last season that I don't think the league wanted, but it ended up happening. Modify the kickoff alignment requirements for the receiving team in the setup zone. Not sure what that means because we don't know what the modification is, at least not based off this tweet, but sure. Allow league personnel to consult with on-field officials when considering disqualifications for both flagrant football acts and non-football acts without being called on the field. I like this. I think college has something like this, and it works pretty well there. I think this is necessary. I think this is important, and I think that this is valuable. So this is something that I could totally get behind. Just an understanding that the goal should not be, as a player, to do something really bad and get away with it. The goal should be to not do it in the first place. Making it something where it can only be litigated if a referee catches him in a player in the act of doing it, I think misses the point. So I definitely like that one. And then the final one, for 1 year only, allow the NFL officiating department to correct clear and obvious misses by on-field officials that impact the game in the event of a work stoppage involving the game officials represented by the NFL Referees Association. That one refers to the fact that there's a chance we get another replacement referee fiasco in the coming future here. So basically, it's just saying, look, we know these guys are not going to be very good if we end up having to use them. So therefore, we're going to give a little bit of leeway for them to make mistakes and not have it negatively affect the game. So hopefully it never comes to that, but that is interesting that they're acknowledging the fact that that's a problem. That's a big step in the right direction. I feel like in previous years, the NFL was more approaching it as like well, we have to live with whatever mistakes they make. Now it seems to be more like we're doing whatever we can to mitigate the mistake in time. All right, so that's really all I wanted to talk about. The tush push is here to stay, and I'm down with it. Good for the Seahawks. See you guys later. Go Hawks.